that 30-second video. Hello and welcome to Offside Bets. We're going to be doing our premier live analysis of the NCAA preview. I'm Adam.
I'm Junior. Let's go.
Okay, so the plan for today is to look at the brackets. Selection Sunday is here and it is upon us. We know most of the teams that are going to be playing in the NCAA basketball tournament starting next Friday. There is playing games happening this Thursday coming, and we're going to touch on those as well. What we plan on doing here today is just highlighting one of the regions first to start, and we're going to start with the East region. You can follow us live tomorrow, where we're going to pick up another region and so on and so forth, including Wednesday, which will be our last region update. And by then, you'll have an idea of what we think about the brackets. So Junior and I are going to break this down for you. We're going to go ahead and share you some of the information that we have so far. So as we start up here, we got the baseline, and Junior, what we have here is we have number 16, Mount St. Mary's versus Texas Southern. This is the play-in game happening Thursday. What do you think about this game? We have the odds currently standing at Texas Southern -1. Who do you have favored in this game? What do you think is going to happen? And who's going to end up ultimately playing Michigan in that 1 versus 16?
Well, for me, the way I'm seeing it is, Mount St. Mary's, their point production this year has not been kind of stellar or through the roof, where, Texas Southern's kind of up there with the rest of the nation. They're averaging about 73.6 a game, but they are giving up 70, but, Mount St. Mary's numbers aren't even close to that. As well, the spread covering by Texas Southern, they're 12-10-1, so their cover percentage is going to be a bit higher than Mount St. Mary's. And so for those reasons, I mean, obviously we have our system that we've built that we run, and our modeling is showing us that Texas Southern, tongue twister, is going to take this game by probably 3 to 5 points. So I'm going to stick with Texas Southern on this game.
Yeah, they have Michael Weathers, scoring 16.5, 5.2 rebounds, 3.6 assists. So he's looking quite well for that team. I think that'll be a good matchup for Michigan. The over-under on that playing game is 134.5. Is this game going to go over that? Is it going to go under? Where would you put your money on that one?
The one thing I learned from Champ Week is sometimes you got to take these over-unders with a grain of salt. So for me, my first kind of guess on this would be, an under. But because this is the tournament, these guys are going to be pumping, and if any of these shots start to drop after that adrenaline wears off, I definitely think that the total is going to go over for sure.
Okay, awesome. And then so if we look at Texas Southern playing Michigan, I mean, it's a 1 seed versus a 16 seed. We don't have the spread or the over-under yet. Gut instinct, Michigan is an incredible team. Yeah. Does Texas Southern even have a chance in this game?
This is that prototypical Cinderella. Unfortunately, the carriage is breaking down on the way to the gate. Out the gate, Michigan just looked phenomenal during Champ Week. Outside that dust-up that Jawan had with Maryland, they're running so hard right now that I just cannot see either of these teams coming anywhere close to them. The gut's going to say that it's going to be a double-digit spread. The over-under, depending, if Southern gets in, you're looking, mid-140s for a total. If Mount St. Mary's gets in, you're looking at a low 130s for the total. But all day long, you're going to look at Michigan 20 to 25 point favorites in this game. Well, but they're going to win by 20 to 25 points for sure.
Well, they have an incredible record, 18-2. Hunter Dickinson, look to have a big game from him and really throughout this tournament being the leading scorer for Michigan. That's great. Let's see what happens with that playing game, and then let's see what happens when they end up playing, whoever ends up playing Michigan and what happens with that game. Hopefully we'll have some analysis on that as well. So let's take a look at the next lineup here, the next matchup that we got. So we have number 15 Iona, so 12-5 record. Versus the number 2 Alabama, 24-6. The point spread on this is minus 16.5. I'm not sure that I'm surprised on that. Alabama being the heavy favorites and scoring just over 79 points per game. Is this spread realistic? What do you think about this?
You know what? When you see numbers start to get high, you look at the history of the game, of this tournament in the first round with your 1s and 2s. If the spread's under 20, they've got a pretty good shot at covering that. But I don't take Iona for granted here. This is a team that has played their butts off all year long. You look at their cover record, they're covering at almost a 70% clip.
Yeah.
They're 11-5-1 against the points. I like them to cover. They're not going to win, but I like them to cover. I think, Alabama kind of tripped up a little bit during Champ Week, and, I think that they've got a lot to prove. But I think Iona's going to cover that spread, and I don't know about the total going over, but, the 16.5 is going to look juicy for a lot of people. I mean, you can see the public is probably going to hammer Alabama on this, which is going to push that spread up even further by the time that game drops. So if you can lock in on Iona now, just wait until before the game, because that spread's going to go above 20, and you're going to laugh your way to the bank.
So is it confident that you think the over-under at 143.5, this game will go over?
It's a good number. It's a solid number.
Okay.
When Iona's averaging a little bit over 70, but they're not giving up a lot either. They're giving up in the mid-60s, and Alabama's giving up in the high 60s. So, are both these teams going to score over 70? I don't know. I'll tell you this. Bama's like 20-0 when they score 80, but I can see Iona scoring over 60. So that gets you to 140 right there. A 3 here or a 3 there. I definitely think you can hit the over for sure on this.
Yeah, well, I'm confident Alabama's going to win this game. They're 12-1 to win this tournament. So, I even see them getting pretty deep in this tournament, past the 8 and maybe even into the Final Four. We never know. But that's good. This should be a great game. And let's move on to the next one here. Okay, so we got number 3 Texas versus Abilene Christian. Okay, this spread is -9 for Texas, number 3 seed, 18-2 record. Abilene Christian at 16-4. Surprisingly here, Abilene Christian actually has more points per game by about 1 on average for the season. And they're giving up less points. So what do you think about this?
Well, the thing you have to look at is when you look at the strength of schedule, Texas is going to have a harder schedule than Abilene is. Abilene's playing in a smaller conference. The competition is not going to be as high. Where Texas they're playing mid-majors and above. But their spread records in the negative. They're covering under 50, where Abilene's covering over 70 points. Sorry, 70% of the time.
Yeah.
But still, -9, I think, for a team with the pedigree that Texas has, is definitely attainable. I would even bet Texas up to 11. Or buy the points to get the positive on it now, but I can definitely see them 12, 13 point victors in the end of the game.
Okay, well, Texas's odds to win the tournament are 20-1 versus 999-1. So Abilene Christian, thanks for coming out, but likelihood is very low. Over under here we have at 139.5. Will this game cover over under? What do you think about that? Where should we be looking?
The thing is these overs, they're going to fluctuate a lot depending on what gets smashed early. This is probably going to settle anywhere between 138 to 143 in terms of what our modeling is showing us. And, it's safe to say that, Abilene is scoring in bunches, Texas is scoring in bunches, but, how much are they going to stop each other? And at the end of the day, I think Texas is just going to wear down that defense. And it's all going to be whether, Abilene's going to chase them off the three. So I think anything in that 138 to 143 range, you're definitely safe to take the over.
Okay, awesome. Let's take a look at what we got lined up next here. Okay, so we got UNC Greensboro, 13th seed versus Florida State, number 4 seed. We got some solid stats here. So points per game average for Florida State, 78.9, giving up 70.3 points per game average on UNC Greensboro, 73.6. And then defensively, they're giving up, 67.4. The spread here is 10.5 as it stands now. What do you see happening in this game? Can there be an upset happen here?
4s and 13s, you don't see a whole lot of upsets, maybe every once in a while. But I don't think UNCG is getting any love here on that spread at 10.5. They've had a phenomenal, they rolled their way through their conference tournament, and they shone during Champ Week. I definitely think that they're going to make it close. It's definitely not going to be a double-digit spread, I think, at the end of the game. UNCG's come with a chip on their shoulder, and I think at the end of the day, they're going to be playing their hearts out. You got Isaiah Miller averaging almost 27 and 4, just beasting this year. So I think he takes over that game. I don't look at the fact that, Florida's 4-0 against them all time. I'm not looking at, the odds for UNCG are 200 to 1. This is just the first game. And I think that, a couple bounces, UNCG might have a shot, but I think that the 10.5 is a bit too high for me. So I would take UNCG to cover this.
Yeah, you mentioned, you don't usually see an upset in a 13 to 4. It's 207% for that to happen. The likelihood of a 13 over a 4, it's 29 versus 111. So, it's unlikely that this is going to happen, but I do like Isaiah Miller's play, and let's see what happens in the game, right? We've got the over-under at 145.5. Is that realistic? This will probably move a little bit, I imagine, possibly higher.
Yeah, it probably will get a bit higher. I see this game finishing in the 147 to 153 range, at least with the model showing us. So at 145.5, I'd lock in.
Okay, awesome. Let's see what we got next here. Okay, so you should be looking at Georgetown versus Colorado here. So we got Colorado at the number 5 seed. 18-2 record versus Georgetown, who kind of came on a little bit good in this tournament here at the end. They started looking really well. 16-4 for Georgetown at the 12th seed. So we like to see Georgetown, Pat Ewing, so on. So we got points for on Colorado here, 73, giving up 63. And then points for on Georgetown, 71.4, and almost giving up about the same at 70.7. So what do you think about here? Point spread on this game is 6.5 minus for Colorado.
The one thing that Georgetown has going for them right now is that no one has given them any hope, any respect, any glimmer of anything to them. They ran through Champ Week just like that, chance, and they are. And they needed to win to get in, and they did. And I mean, just look at their ATS record, 16-9. That's a 64% chance of covering this game. The overs, 44%. But then you just look at the intangibles. This team had their back against the wall for the last week, and they came through each and every time. So I'm going to take a team that's covering at a 16-9 clip at 64% to cover a 6.5 spread against a team who may not have faced a team like Georgetown. So, give me Georgetown in the upset here. And this 5-12, there are a lot of upsets here. There's a lot of 12s that are going to get to the next round. I say usually there's at least one a year.
Yeah.
And for me, it's going to be Georgetown this year. So I'm going to take Georgetown.
Yeah, you know what? I really like that. Again, there's something to be said about that winning feeling and coming off and having that little bit of a chip on your shoulder, right? You did mention 12 versus 5 seeds. They're at a 357 win percentage. So this does happen, like you said. This is a 1 in 3 shot that these guys can really win that, and you're definitely going to see, I believe, as we break down the rest of the brackets here, the regions rather, we're going to see some of these 12s possibly go through. So it's 50 to 90 on the 12 versus 5. So definitely has a chance. I really like Georgetown. I think they got a lot of flair. 136.5 as the over-under. What are you thinking about here? This has to go up, right?
The number's going to go up.
Yeah.
I can see this number going up to 141, 142. But I would still take that comfortably. Both teams are averaging above 70 points. So even if you just clip that right there at 140, with the adrenaline of the tournament, it's March Madness, this is what, Georgetown's been playing for the last week. Same thing with Colorado. They may not have had as much success, but they're still there to win. Georgetown's going off at 150 to 1, and Colorado's at 100 to 1. So the odds are still steep for either of them to be making a big run. But they're going to be there to play. And, I'm going to look at 144 for me, 144 and a half. I'll still play that over up to about 144.
Okay. Well, I'm looking to see Javon Blair have some a great game here, and hopefully continue to see him play as hopefully Georgetown goes through, because I would love to see that personally. Okay, let's see what we've got next up here. Okay, so we've got BYU number 6 seed versus the winner of Michigan State and UCLA. So let's start with that game. Michigan State, UCLA, historic teams, in NCAA basketball. Everybody knows the name. Everybody knows the teams. UCLA is favored here, -2. Just breaking down some of the points here. So UCLA, 72-4, 68 against. And Michigan State a little bit lower on the floor, 69 and 70. So what do you think is going to happen with this game, this playing game, which will be happening Thursday?
For me, if I'm the other teams in the tournament, especially those 1 seeds, I'm hoping for a UCLA win here, because Michigan State has beaten every 1 seed in the tournament this year, all of them. So that is like that's the dark horse right there in a playing game. And if they can take UCLA, they have a chance to do some real damage to some of these big teams with big hope. But I think they will. They have been playing really well lately. Before Champ Week, they ended off the season with a win over Michigan, and I think they've got the offense humming a bit. So, I'll take Michigan State in the upset of the play-in game.
So you'll take Michigan State at the +2. We got the over/under at 134.5. This is probably a little bit low. It probably will go up a little bit. What do you think there? Are you comfortable playing this at the, over/under? Where are you going to put your money on?
I'll play the over up to 140.
Okay.
Anything above 140, I have to go back and look at the model. But 140, I'm comfortable playing anything above 140.
Okay. Okay, so if we see Michigan State go through and play BYU, so BYU seeded 6, points 477, giving up 68, odds to win tourney 18-1. BYU has a lot of things going for them. What do you think would happen in this game? Is it possible that Michigan State could upset BYU and continue forward?
Well, BYU, a lot of people forget them out there in the West because of Gonzaga, with obvious reasons. But, this is the team that went 20-6 this year. They cover at a 63% clip. And it's tough that they don't get as much respect as they do. But I think they can handle either Michigan State or UCLA when it comes down to it. I would probably look for that spread to be in the 4.5, 5 range with an over under of, 138, 139. And I still feel comfortable taking BYU to cover both those and get the over as well.
Okay. Awesome. So we've got lined up here next. Okay, so should be a fantastic game. Number 7 UConn versus number seeded 10 Maryland. UConn record 18-2, Maryland 16-4. Point spread is not that much here. It's -3.5. What do you think about these two teams?
Yeah, you see that the odds have already changed from a -2.5 to a -3.5. So there's already money going on UConn. I have a tough time seeing. Maryland's a scrappy team. Don't get me wrong. Like they've got a lot of heart. You saw that against Michigan. They don't like to back down. They scrap. Like they're a scrappy team. And UConn. I mean, as long as everyone gets through the COVID protocols, they did have to end a little bit early there. So, hopefully everyone gets through. And I think if that happens, I think, UConn's going to have a bit of jump in their step. They've had a bit of a rest, and, now they've got time to prepare. So, I would take UConn. I'd probably take them up to 7.
Okay.
Yeah. Up to 7.
Yeah, you mentioned the COVID protocol, so they do have to test 7 days negative before being eligible to play on the team, play in the tournament. So let's see what happens there. We got the over/under right now at we got 126.5. What do you think about that?
And that's gone up already to 131.5. So you can see the Lions are moving like crazy already.
I think this is going to be a high-scoring tournament. I think these guys are going to get out there and they're really going to get rolling. I really think these over/unders, if you can lock these in at this time, I think we're noticing that all of them are a little bit higher. Like and what our model is showing is that these games are going to end up to be a little bit higher than what the stats are right now.
For sure. And in this game, I'd look, anywhere from 139 to 142, kind of in that range. You're still safe taking the over.
Okay. Okay, this was a thriller today with St. Bonaventure. I really enjoyed watching that game today. We got LSU 8 versus St. Bonaventure. So LSU 18-2. We got the Bonnies at 14-11. But I actually think that this is one of those games where if you look at the numbers and the statistics of 9 versus 8, 9s actually end up winning a bit more than the 8s do. So we have that number at 514%. Can LSU hold on against this team? This team is very, very active. They're a -1.5 here on the spread.
Yeah. The Bonnies, I like them a lot.
They're fun to watch.
They are. And, they show you that they've got something there, right? Like they've got really good team cohesiveness. They move the ball really well. They don't step off the line. Like they drop daggers. And, for me, I look at a few intangibles. It's not just your strength of schedule and your record, and at this time of year, all that stuff, toss it out the window, because you're looking at Champ Week, and that's what we did for Champ Week. Because we used our data, we developed our model for Champ Week to look at these teams, and St. Bonaventure was one of those teams that we took a real strong look at, and through the year they covered a 72.2%. Their over/under record was a little paltry, but that just tells you that they're not playing in a lot of high-scoring games because they're tending to kind of drag things out and wear you down defensively to get those good open shots or to free their bigs and their wings up. I like them, but I don't know if I like them enough to beat LSU. LSU is a team that's got a lot of pedigree. They showed out really well in Champ Week, and it's a low number. it's almost like I feel like this could be one of those trap games where it's like we're just gonna give it to LSU, but really, we're heavy on the Bonnies for the same reasons we're heavy on the Bonnies for, right? But I don't know where the Bonnies can make up the points. LSU scoring at over an 80 clip, and I don't know if the Bonnies have a strong enough defense to limit the interior and wing players for LSU. They're big bruisers. They're long. They're lanky, and they get to the basket real well. So, for me, as much as it pains me for this, I got to take LSU in this game.
Okay. Over under at 144. I expect this to be over that. I know St. Bonaventure is, peaking kind of at the right time, but LSU, as you mentioned, they are a well-established, well-oiled machine, and they're coming here to win. Is this game going to go over 144?
Again, just like the spread feels like a trap. This total feels like a trap because we're seeing a lot of 129s, 126, 134s. But why is this game set? The initial spread set at 144. It seems a bit high for me. So for me, I would have to go under on this.
Yeah, well, I look to, I'm looking to see a big game from Cameron Thomas, almost 23 points a game. I mean, he's a real star. Let's see what happens in this game. It should be a good one to watch. I'm excited for it, and if possible, I'd love to see the Bonnies go through. But LSU has that pedigree, as you mentioned, and that's kind of that. So. Well, that's awesome. That kind of wraps up the East for us then. Any final thoughts on this? If you had to pick a Cinderella to go through here, kind of against all of our predictions, who do you think can upset a team here and maybe do something a little different?
Me, my dark horse. So if we were to put dark horse favorite, my dark horse is Georgetown. I just think that once that, like you were saying earlier, they got a taste for the win, and they just kept drinking from that fountain. And, Pat Ewing's been there before, and he's got these guys just laser focused on everything. So, my dark horse here, in that 5-12 matchup that we love to see those upsets in, I'll go with Georgetown as my dark horse. What about you?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna double down on that. I really like Georgetown. I've always liked them. They've always been a team that I've enjoyed watching over the years. Having Pat, who's been there before, and had so much success as a basketball player, I really think that he's gonna really help them along here. And it's kind of a good enough matchup at 5-12 where you have that feeling that something good could happen, right? So I'm gonna go with them as well, and let's see what happens. I think this is going to be some really good playing games. I think when this all kicks off, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be back tomorrow at 9:00. And what region are we breaking down tomorrow?
South. We're doing South? The South tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. So for anybody who's watched this, like, subscribe, comment below. We really appreciate the attendance today. If you're watching this on a record, again, please comment. We want to know what you're thinking about it. Follow us on all our channels. We'll be back tomorrow at 9 to break down the South. We'll be back on Tuesday, and we'll be back on Wednesday to wrap up the entire bracket for the NCAA basketball. For everybody here at Offside Bets, I'm Adam.
I'm Junior.
See you soon.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.